Welcome to a very special episode of After Contract Hours, the show where we clock out at work to check in on the well-being of the world. Today, we have a remarkable story of redemption and resilience. We'll be joined by a former student athlete of mine, the amazing Cam Wiese, who, despite experiencing the darkest moments of his life during college, found the strength to turn it all around. He's here to share his insights and advice for 8th graders on how to prepare for high school and for seniors gearing up for the college transition. Join us as we journey from rock bottom to redemption and discover the power of emotional health in overcoming life's challenges. All right, so today I have a very special guest, Cam Wiese, here with us today.
Hello.
And he is going to be sharing with us his experiences, his stories, his knowledge and expertise on a couple of different really important categories. One being what it's like to transition from 8th grade into a new world of high school, and then going from high school, like your senior year, to the adult world, whether that's, going into college right away. Not everybody goes to college, but just kind of transitioning to that new chapter of life. And then we're going to dive into a few deeper topics on that. So, Cam, why don't you introduce yourself briefly?
All right. My name is Cam Wiese. I am from Winceville, Missouri. I went to Holt from 2013 to 2017. I'm 25 now.
Yeah, I know it's so awkward to
it's
introduce
crazy.
ourselves.
But, yeah.
And what do you do for work?
So I am a banking specialist at First Bank in Manchester and Town and Country area. So like Baldwin, Chesterfield area.
Okay.
And I've been doing that for about a year and a half. It was March of last year, March of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's going good.
You like it?
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's nice, like, helping people with their financial needs, and it's really educating for myself too, like getting prepared with, the real world.
Yeah.
And everything. But yeah, it's going good.
Did you always kind of know that was something you wanted to do, like work in finance?
No, I had no idea what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And still to this day, I don't know if I'll stick with it forever. But luckily, my mom, she actually worked at the bank as well. She still does, and so I was kind of job hunting, like looking around, and she's like, the bank's hiring, why don't you give it a shot? And I was like, okay. And so I went and interviewed, got the job, and been there since. So it's
Sweet. Well, teach me your ways, because I'm almost 32 and I have no idea what I'm doing with money.
I can definitely help you out.
I love it. So, and also fun fact about Cam. So we met when he was a junior in high school at Holt, and I believe it was a junior because I only had you for 2 years.
Right.
Yes. And I was an assistant track and field coach at Holt High School. I coached long distance athletes, and he was more of like a mid distance, like sprinter, mid distance. He could literally do it all. He could have been the top distance runner easily on that team also, but he was an absolute stud. And Tiernan was your primary coach.
Yep.
I told him that I texted him immediately, and I was like, oh my gosh, guess who?
Really?
Yes. I was
my
like,
gosh.
Cam's going to come. And he was like, that's incredible. And he's like, he's a great kid. Like,
I haven't talked to him in years. I need to catch up with him one day.
We do need to get you guys together. He
Yeah.
absolutely adored you. He's
Yeah.
a great man.
He is awesome.
He's going to be on an episode or 5.
Where's he at right now?
He is actually, he works in, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't pay attention to a lot of things, but he works in like the central office area.
North?
Just the district.
Oh, just district.
Yeah.
Wow,
and
wow.
he works for the teaching and learning department. So he basically he comes and helps teachers in certain content areas. So health and PE being one of them, because he used to be a health and PE teacher.
Yeah, he's pretty fit.
He's pretty dang fit. Oh my God, he is gonna love to hear that. He looks the exact same.
Really?
If not,
Oh
if
my
not
gosh.
stronger.
Oh my gosh.
He takes such good care of himself. His wife is so beautiful.
That's
His
awesome.
kids, he's killing it. So he would probably absolutely love to be with you. He was pumped. He was like, "That's incredible. He's an awesome dude."
That's awesome.
No, doesn't that make you feel good?
Yeah.
That was so long ago, and he's still.
Yeah.
You have a good reputation with us
It's good to
former
hear.
coaches.
It's good to hear.
Yes. So yeah, that was super cool. I met him back then, and I just adored him as an athlete and a student athlete, so to speak, because you are very intelligent. You took your grades seriously. He was a coach's epitome of a student athlete that any coach would want. Truly, if no one ever told you that, that's how you were for track anyways. He worked hard. He never had a bad attitude. A great leader on the team. what's the word? I'm trying to think of like terms I could use for like kids today. Like popular in a healthy way, like not like stuck up brat prep. Like, I mean, I got the vision of him that he got along with everybody. He was a good leader, and he's just a cool dude, and loved him to death. Like, loved watching him run and compete and train. Like, he inspired me. I was a former collegiate track athlete, and like this kid, well, you're not a kid anymore, which is so weird. But back then, this kid just inspired me so much, like with everything you did. So
yeah, and I was gonna say, whenever you're running a race, like in a track meet, you don't hear anything. Like you just go, and you were one of the only people I would hear. Go, Cam!
Oh, I love it. That just gave me goosebumps. I love it. Also, I should start keeping track of how many times I say that sentence. That just gave me goosebumps. Ooh, I have chills. Because I noticed it yesterday when I was recording an episode with him. I'm like, I said it probably 4 times. Mm-hmm. But I just get excited for things.
Yeah,
so
it's not a bad thing.
I should have like a little swear jar, but like a goosebump jar anytime I say it.
Right.
But I feel like I will get them a lot with this because this is one special human being, and I am so blessed to have him here. I haven't seen him since he we ran into each other at the races.
Yeah, we did a race I think it was just a year after I graduated. Mm-hmm. So it's probably been like 5 years
crazy.
Maybe.
Yeah, so wild. But we reconnected, on Instagram, and he was the first person I thought of to do this particular episode about transitioning into new life chapters because, again, I really cared about this once teenager, and I enjoyed seeing his journey in life and as he got older and the things he did. And one of my students, this is a student-inspired podcast, asked if I could do an episode on the life transitions and specifically like 8th grade going into high school, how to prepare for that. And I thought of him because he just has a really great story, very powerful. So we're just going to get kind of right into it.
All right, sounds good.
So my first kind of prompting segue, think back to your 8th grade year, if you can. Not god-awful long ago. But what was that? Do you remember what you felt before you went into high school? Like, what were you going through?
Yeah, so it was like... It's like what I'm sure everyone feels. It's like you don't know. Like you have no idea. It's a completely different environment. You go from the top of the food chain of middle school right back down to the bottom. I remember because like really I only knew kids from the next class up. Like when I was a 7th grader, I knew some of the 8th graders. And so I knew I would know a few of them going into that. But I had no idea about any of the other older kids. And it was kind of... it was like kind of nerve-wracking. You had no idea.
You went to Wentzville Middle. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. Yes, I did.
Okay, Wentzville Middle School is where he went. Yep.
Yep. So I just went right down the street to Holt, and then, I didn't know what to expect. But something that really helped me, I feel like, is trying out for sports. So one thing I would say for the 8th graders now is don't be afraid to try new things. That's probably the number one way you're going to meet people aside from just classes, because there are classes you take like the extra classes. You'll have a ton of like upperclassmen in, like you'll be a freshman, you'll probably have a class with a senior and stuff. But I would say just don't be afraid to try new things. Like for me it was sports. I know Holt offers like a bunch of different clubs, and there's band as well. But yeah, that's... Other than that, I was just nervous. I didn't know what to expect. Do you feel like... I always wonder this as a teacher of middle school students today because, every teacher is kind of in their own little world at school. Like, we don't even really get many opportunities to branch out and, like, know exactly what all the guidance counselors do and what admin goes through and what a science teacher goes through, So I'm always curious from a student's perspective, like, did you feel that middle school genuinely prepared you for high school? A little bit, in the sense like, they get you used to like transitioning from class to class, because it's like in elementary school you're just in one class the whole time. So
like the block scheduling kind of thing.
But I mean the high school is so much bigger than the middle school, because in middle school, if I remember correctly, you were just in like one hallway.
Yep.
Like,
you had teams.
Yeah.
Did you have that back in the day? Yeah.
Yep. And then high school, like you could have a class on one end of the whole place and then got to go to the other end for another class. But I would say it prepared you as much as it could with what like middle school setup offers. But it's hard to be prepared for something that's completely different. For kids that are nervous about it, I'd say just go about it like you would with middle school. Essentially, like, just once you have your class schedule, I would recommend going to the school before the school starts and kind of mapping a route for how you're going to get around, because that really helped me a lot.
I bet. Holt is huge. I remember even when North Point High School is really big, and that's my side of town now that I'm at, but like I remember I taught at Wentzville Middle first, and I coached at Holt, and I felt that same way even just as a professional there. Like, woof, Holt is huge. And I do want to make, it's not a joke, but like kind of laugh, a comment that he made about, in high school you may have one class on one side of the building, and then your next class is miles away at the total opposite end. For those middle school students, this is for you lazy bums getting to class late and all the tardies you get because you're slow poking your way in the hallway. You got to shift that. Start getting your practice in now to walk quicker. They're like, I had to go to the bathroom, or like, I can't walk that fast. I'm like, really? Really?
Better learn to hold it. No,
yep, exactly. Oh, it's so true. So I'm glad you made that comment, because truly, middle school students, that is a big wake-up call. Like, your schedule is going to be all over the building. And so like he just said, getting there before school starts, mapping out your route, I love that so much. Did you use lockers?
Yeah, we did have a locker. I don't think I ever really used one, unless I needed to put something in there for like after school activity or something. But I don't think I ever really used my locker, just because, again, you don't have a lot of time.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure in middle school I would go to my locker like between classes. But in middle school, do you carry your backpack?
They do now since COVID, because whenever COVID hit and we came back to school, they didn't want people, they had to be 6 feet apart, so you couldn't be sitting smushed in between at lockers. So we just still haven't used them since.
So that's a big thing then, because you can carry your backpack everywhere with you. So
which is nice.
Yeah. So you don't really need the locker unless again you have something for maybe after school or something. But
that makes sense. Yeah. Another thing I thought of thinking about this 8th grade transition. So you had said something powerful when we were messaging on Instagram about like being shy, and if you have a personality like that, it might be harder for people like that, obviously, going into a new transition. So kind of elaborate on how you spoke about that. Yeah,
so the transition from 8th grade to high school, the pool of students just gets much, much larger. So I said it's kind of like an opportunity to rebrand yourself, because I can think of like so many people who were the quietest kid ever in middle school, and then they were like the most outgoing people in high school, just because they really took that opportunity to, because there's so many kids that don't know that you were that shy kid in middle school. So it's the perfect opportunity to, if you are looking to maybe be more confident or go more outgoing, it's a great time too, because
I love that.
I know a lot of times there's kids that are shyer that are worried that they'll get judged for being outgoing,
or won't have anybody that accepts them.
Right. But that's kind of what the risk you just got to take. And truly, like, if you are just a nice, fun, outgoing person, you'll be loved by everyone.
I love that.
Like, no one hates a nice, friendly person.
It's true. That is true. Y'all can act like you do, but you don't.
Yeah.
However, when I was in high school,
unless they're like the over the top,
extra
annoying.
Yes. Yes. I remember my mom telling me, this just made me think of it, when I was in high school. I'm just such an empath, an empathetic human being, and I feel bad for people if I feel like they're an outcast. And I remember even when I was a senior, I had my table at lunch to sit at, but if I saw anybody sitting by themselves, I always tried to make an effort to go sit with them. And I remember telling my mom that one time in high school, and she was like, honey, that's sweet. And she's like, but just food for thought, some people like to sit by themselves.
True. Very true.
And she's like, and you're a lot.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly. I like that you made that point. There's nothing wrong with wanting that.
Because I get the same way. Like, sometimes I just want to eat, don't talk to anyone. Just Yeah.
Paint me a picture of who you were in 8th grade. Like, I knew you only your junior and senior year of high school. Like, who were you? What were you like personality-wise when you were younger than that?
I was like a super cringy, like annoying kid for sure. Like,
cringy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Like, I was probably loud, like screechy.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like you were so calm-natured when I knew you.
Yeah, that came with, like, getting a little older, I guess. But no, 8th grade, I was a spaz. But, you know, that's what I did. Like, I was, like, shy. I was, like, put on, like, a character. Like, that's kind of what it was. Like, I would just, like, be, like, a just crazy little kid. But, like, being truly who you are, like, that's what I was more shy about. So it did help me, like, my freshman year. Because I tried out for soccer. So soccer had, like, the summer tryouts the year before you started.
Yeah.
And so that's how I met a lot of the upperclassmen. And so that goes back to my point. If you're looking to meet older kids, like, and maybe get a new friend group or something, like meet new friends, I know Holt offered like a ton of summer activities, clubs, things you could do, and that really helped me meeting all those guys, because then they introduced me to their friends, and it's just kind of, you know, like building those relationships and connections.
Yep, I had that same experience. I did cross country in the fall, and that 8th grade summer going into high school, that saved so much stress, just meeting those new people, and like you just felt accepted, not rejected, like. And
you see, like, in the movies, like the stereotypical like upperclassmen, like they're so intimidating and stuff, and it's really not that bad. The majority of them are just cool and laid back. But
yeah, that's good. So then when you say that you were like cringy and a spaz, did you take your grades seriously in middle school, 8th grade specifically?
Yeah, I did. Because my parents were like always on me about it too. Like my mom, if that report card came in and it wasn't looking good, I would hear about it.
Yeah.
So I mean, they did help me in that aspect. And I was always like friends with some of the smarter kids.
Yep.
So they helped me a lot too.
Which is a strategy.
Yeah.
By the way.
It is a very good strategy, especially for next year. Like those AP classes. Oh my gosh. Shout out to Jake Tompkins, because I would have failed chemistry so hard.
Oh, I sucked at chemistry.
Oh my.
That is one thing that never clicked with me. Well.
I would have failed hard if I didn't have that guy next to me.
Shout out Jake. Yeah. I love that. So cute.
Just kind of off topic. He's getting married, and I'm the best man in his wedding.
No!
Yeah.
Congrats, Jake.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he may not remember me. Maybe you do.
Oh,
congratulations.
He does. I told him that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so exciting.
Yeah, so it'll be December of next year.
Beautiful. Yeah. Oh, winter weddings are so amazing.
Yeah, because I really wanted it they might have done it earlier, but they really wanted this specific place, and that was like one of the first times they could get it. But
yeah,
a little off topic, but
no,
yeah.
But that's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So you guys are still besties?
Oh,
you guys were super tight in high school.
Talk to him like every day.
Did he go to Wentzville Middle with you?
I think he did. We weren't friends in middle school, so we didn't really talk. It was really sophomore year. When we were doing track, because I was always competitive, like super competitive in track, and
yes.
I noticed I had some competition with him.
Oh yeah.
And so I was like, and I always embraced that. So one day I just like said what's up to him, and I remember like we were maybe friends for like a month, and then I invited him to go to the lake with my family, like the Ozarks, and he came down, and it was awesome. And
you were like, "Sup, enemy?"
Yeah, I was like, "This guy's all right.
Let's be friends. I'm gonna trip you while you're racing so I can beat you." Because you guys were pretty neck and neck with like
it was
your times and everything.
We would like every year it was back and forth. Like one of us would have the better time and not. And then that last year we made it to state finals together, and it was awesome. Because
wasn't it the 4x4?
It was, so we each made it in the open 400.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I have I actually recently rewatched that video, and you can hear yourself in
I have got to see this.
Yeah,
you have to send it to me.
Yeah, I'll show you later. It's awesome. But,
that's so funny. I love it.
Yeah.
So 8th grade, school was important to you. Parents were on you about that. You were cringy and a spaz.
Yeah, and I would say for any other younger middle schoolers watching this, like, take the grades seriously, just because it only, like, not to be the bearer of bad news, it only does get harder.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to build those habits and that discipline. And even if you're not motivated to do it, like you don't want to do it, like no one wants to do it.
Right.
But it's all about discipline over motivation. I always say, like, if you're disciplined, you will do it. You don't need the motivation, even though as much as it helps. But it's good to build those habits just because it'll only help you. Like, I know it can sometimes be seen as the cool thing to not care, but
right.
in the real world,
you need to care.
The successful people cared.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. That just gave me goosebumps. Where's my goosebump jar?
Put it in the jar.
It did. That was so powerful. And I had reached out to a couple of other, like, current freshmen in high school, like, their parents, and asked their parents to, like, talk to those kids. And you just said something that kind of made me reminded me of, I had these students last year in 8th grade. They're freshmen now. Shout out to you girls, you three, for giving your feedback on this. And one of the pieces of advice that they gave, that again, they're freshmen right now, so they just went through this transition, are currently going through it. They said the same thing, like, if you didn't care before about your middle school grades, start caring now, because high school is very serious in that realm. And another piece of advice that one of the girls gave was have a planner or have some type of, like, organization system, because you do have a lot of work and to keep yourself. Did you have a planner?
I didn't, but that is something that I would say I wish I did work on. I can only see that as being super helpful, because you'll get home and you have, like, so much, like, you have homework for so many different classes and you can't remember, like, is this due tomorrow? But
yes,
I wish I did build, like, a planning
and didn't
habit.
I remember when I was in middle school and even, like, elementary school, I don't remember high school doing this, but in middle school, they gave us, like, the school gave us a school-issued planner. And did you guys have that?
I do remember that in middle school. I can't remember if they gave that in high school. I can't remember. I only remember in middle school because the front cover was, like, one of those things you scratch.
Yes! I was just thinking that in my brain. I literally just kind of went like this with my hands, remembering the same thing. That's so funny. It was, like, holographic or whatever. Oh, yeah. They were so fun. Yeah. So get a planner. Start now. That's great advice. And, again, just know that it really doesn't get any easier. And that's not bad news. That's realistic. That's real life and super important. And I remember that being really helpful when I was in high school. I had a planner. I was pretty psychotically organized.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
It can be for sure. So when you were in high school, now let's kind of talk about your peer group, not high school, sorry. One more question about 8th grade. Let's talk about your social life. Like, would you say, truly, like, no shame, did you feel like you were popular, kind of average, like you were comfortable?
I feel like me being, like, more crazy and outgoing helped me, like I feel like more people did know who I was. And also I was on the 8th grade basketball team, which is...
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
That's a freaking big deal. That is a huge deal, dude.
And, like, there's a few guys on there who are still some of my best friends today. Like, I talk to them every day.
Who? Give them a shout out.
Mike Gomsky. I don't know if you know him. He went to Holt. Alex Kimball, he didn't go to Holt. He went to Timberland.
Okay.
Traitor.
The ultimate traitor.
Yeah. And then Neil Thomas, you probably don't know him either. He moved to Illinois for his high school years, but he's back now. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that was on there. I'm sorry if I forget anyone.
Right. Don't be offended.
It was a while ago.
That's awesome that you remember, like, you still have those connections. And seriously, we're not being sarcastic. I know I obnoxiously laugh, but 8th grade basketball and, like, cheer and poms is the it thing. In middle school, we just finished tryouts for basketball, so they just got their teams picked and cheer and poms, and it's really cute. Like, you can just kind of feel that camaraderie already for them. Yeah. And I coached it. I coached middle school basketball, and the anxiety that I had as a coach because of how intense it's like it is. It's the big thing of middle school. I mean, it's so many people come. They sell out.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Bleachers.
It is crazy.
It's like, a lot of pressure.
The parents are screaming and everything.
Like, oh my gosh, a lot. I had to, like, say at my parent meetings, y'all are sitting opposite of me. You're not talking to me during the game. They get intense. Yeah. Basketball parents, calm down. Okay. But yeah, so continue. That was the it thing. You did basketball, so that helped your peer group.
Yeah. So I mean, I would say I was, like, better well known.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't really think of it like that. Like I tried to be as like I didn't let that give me an ego. Like
Which is amazing.
Yeah, I tried to not let like always try to get a like have a level head.
Mm-hmm.
Because I that always bothered me when people people think they're like too good for others and stuff. But
I actually have another random question. Kind of a tangent in an opposite direction, but it piggybacks off of this topic.
Mm-hmm.
Because tryouts did just end and we have people on the team, have you ever not made a team? Have you ever been cut from something?
So not like school-wise, but like I've tried out for like select basketball teams, like club basketball, and yeah, there's been teams I did not make.
How was that, like, when you were a kid? How did you kind of cope through that rejection feeling?
It sucked, but my parents were really good at like reinforcing the idea to just try again. I think that's very important. I always like anyone who's succeeded has failed more times than you have. So like that's what that's what I've always thought. Because the people who are really successful at whatever they do, they've tried and tried and tried, and that's what I think is really important.
I love that. Like that resilience piece.
Yeah.
I always have track and cross country were the main things that I coached, and we really don't cut people from those sports.
Right.
I mean, I end up cutting people like way after tryouts because they're just not there for the right reasons. But like kids know that they're not going to get cut or they're not good enough kind of a thing. But like with basketball or cheer and poms or, other soccer, like things like that. I know a lot of kids right now at our schools are kind of going through that. And I have an extra soft spot. Yes, I'm empathetic just as it is. So it breaks my heart to see people like not get chosen for things.
Right.
But I just know my brother went through that. And I don't know his story verbatim, but like his freshman year of high school, he tried out for basketball and all of his best friends did as well. And they all made it and he didn't. And he kind of fell into a bad path because of it. So I just am extra like, I just feel
like
so
you got to
bad.
know it's not the end of the world. And I mean, for the younger people, like that's why I encourage trying out young. Like don't wait. It's important to realize, like this is something else I've messaged you about, but don't think you have enough time. Because that time will fly by so quick. And that's always just like an excuse I told myself too sometimes with certain things, like, oh, I don't need to try this, I can do it later, like I can do it next year, there's always next year. And I encourage, if you want to do something, like do it now. Because even for the younger kids, if you do get cut, there is next year, and that gives you a lot of time to work on what you were not the best at and try again next year.
Absolutely. And the beauty of like in high school, in the fall, for example, there's multiple sports going on. So I know that can be conflicting because some athletes want to do two things in the fall, like their favorite sports, but they have to pick. Yes.
It always bothered me. Because track was in the spring and we always had like these super crazy good, fast athletes that would do baseball.
Yes.
I was like, you can
do it. I know. You just want them. I know. Yeah. And we can, like, as coaches, we can always say, like, yeah, you can try both. Like, we'll work with you. But once you get into the heart of the season, it's so difficult to... And it can hurt the kid if they're doing too much. And you did soccer and track. Those are your main things. And basketball you did, too. Yeah. And I love that you are such a versatile athlete because a lot of kids will just hone in on one thing, which there's nothing wrong with. I mean, you can become an expert in that skill, but like it's better for your body to train in multiple different ways. Yeah, and
I had the advantage of like my parents were both like really good athletes. Like my mom, so like basketball, my mom was a basketball player in college at UMSL.
Oh my gosh.
And my dad was a soccer player in college at UMSL.
Wow.
So that's where they met. And but yeah, so they had me in sports from a very young age, and so I know that gives an advantage to a lot of kids versus like someone who's never played before, but still just go try out.
Yep.
Especially like if you're a freshman, because they have the freshman team, and if you don't think you're good enough for JV or varsity yet, it's a perfect time to learn.
Yes, that's what we try to teach. Like I teach 7th grade team sports, and I always try to remind them of those things. We kind of adopted like a new concept of how we want to organize our team sports classes this year with 7th grade particularly. And so we do like if we do like a football unit, the day one of that unit, we do tryouts and we just do like 3 little skills, whatever. Right. And me and the other coach just kind of assess them on a scale of 1 to 5, just what we observe. And it's a class. It's nothing crazy, but it's just to prepare them. Like, you're going to either be on, like, a varsity team or a JV team for the football unit. And we try to just coach them on, like, don't feel rejected if you're on the JV team. And don't be overbearing and cocky if you make the varsity team sports team. It's just school. But it's going to prepare you for that real life. Like, and being on JV is still being on the team. You didn't get cut, or the freshman team. So just trying to train them. Right. To adopt that mentality. So, like, that advice that you're giving is so powerful. You did a lot of things in middle school that kept you socially engaged. That helped you. And then you did soccer. You did summer activities leading into high school. And, guys, like he said, if sports are not your thing, that's okay. High school offers so many different clubs and extracurricular activities, band, music. They have, like, marching band in high school. I am not a band person. Not by choice, by the way. I think you are the coolest people in the world.
Yes, I was going to say that. I did band in middle school, and I wish I would have stuck with it.
Because what did you do?
I played the clarinet.
Did you? Why are you laughing?
No, it was really cool. I just, like, I was so lazy with, like, practicing.
I was too.
Yeah, and I wish because playing an instrument now... When you're older, I don't know if it's still when you're younger, but when you're older, when you see someone can play like an instrument, it's really cool.
You get goosebumps.
Yeah, really
you
cool.
do. You really do. It brings tears to my eyes watching like live performances. God, I'm so emotional. I cry when I'm happy, when I'm happy for people, when I'm sad, when I'm mad.
It's not a bad thing.
I told him before he came here, I'm like, just prepare. I'm an emotional human being, so don't panic if I start getting emotional. No, that's so true. So get involved. If you don't even know where to start with that, I think that's a big question that a lot of kids would have is, what do I get involved with? I think they have days, like, they have freshman-specific days before school starts, I think.
Oh, really?
Something like that. That might be a new thing where it's like a freshman walkthrough, just like 6th graders did.
Oh, no. I know what you're talking about.
Right?
Yeah,
do you remember what it's called?
I do not. I think it's like just freshman orientation.
Yeah, that's right. Orientation. So freshmen take advantage of that. Incoming or 8th graders who are going into high school definitely do that. And that's where you ask all the questions. So I'm a psycho-organized person. So I would make a list of questions if I were you, just so you don't forget, and take it with you on those days if you can make it. But admin will be there, and, North Point admin in particular, they are incredible. All the ones that work there are just amazing people. So safe and comfortable to talk to. They're just normal people like us. Like, they're very welcoming. So just make a list of questions you have, ask those questions, and if you don't know where to start, that's the perfect place to start, is asking questions, would be my advice on that.
Yeah,
It's been a minute since I've been in high school, but just ask questions. Okay, so now we're in high school. Okay. We're taking Cam back to his high school days. So he said he was, in the very beginning of this episode, you mentioned, like, yes, it was normal. You were nervous. Very normal. What obstacles do you remember specifically facing your freshman year?
Oh, boy. Like in school-wise?
Yeah, high school.
I mean... There was always the classes that I didn't like. I had to work a little harder on certain classes. But it goes back to building that discipline of, you want to start early, like build a routine, like, because the more you do something over and over, then the easier it's going to become to do. And so I'd say with people that are struggling with classes, just build that routine, go home, do your homework. I know some days I would just come home, forget it. I want to do my own thing for a little bit. It gets really late. I still have to do it, stay up late. It just get your stuff done right away.
Yeah. While you're still in the headspace of school,
right.
kind of.
I'd say, because I was always like, because I tried to be outgoing my freshman year, and I did meet, like, because like I said, you'll have classes with upperclassmen. And so, like, I met a lot of guys that were older than me who I still know today through some of the classes. I'd say one of the other obstacles was just kind of, like, finding a place to fit in. Because I feel like I was almost like a people pleaser where, like, I'd want to be, like...
Liked by everybody.
Yeah, right. And so do like I'd do all these different things, like have different personalities almost, like behave differently around, and that's just, it's kind of lame in the end. Like, it's just be yourself, and if people don't like you, that's what it is. Like,
accepting that.
Yeah, I got all these quotes. I like saw this quote the other day. It was like, it's like you could be like the sweetest peach on the tree, but some people just don't like peaches.
Yep.
And it's like,
yep, it's so true.
Yeah, it's like, so don't waste time. That, I feel like people are pressured by the older people to kind of like, I want them to like me. And it's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like, cause when you get older, cause like I feel like in high school, like there's just hierarchy between the classes. Like, oh, they're a year older than me. They're like better than me. And then like when you get older, like, you know, you'll work with people who are like 20 years older than you.
Yep.
And it's like,
well, and I'm even just for reference, like in a way there was hierarchy when I was coaching you, you know, like I was your coach, you were a student athlete, but now look at us 6 years later, like we're buddies sitting on my balcony, never in a million years thought that would happen. Yeah. You know, like that does go away.
Yeah. Just staying true to yourself is one of the biggest things you can do, I'd say. I'm trying to think of other things that I struggled with.
I think like self-discovery too, like especially your freshman year.
Yeah.
A lot of you may not know who you are yet, and that's also very normal, you know?
Guarantee it, yeah.
And like with identity, right? Like we struggle with identity, and for example, like Cam and I, when we went into high school at way different times in life, he did soccer. So like his identity was a soccer athlete probably right away when he went into high school. So that was like a nice transition for you. I was a runner. I did cross country. But if you don't find a niche right away, that might be scarier for you. Yeah. It's very normal. And again, that's just where you ask those questions, and you kind of have to soul search and ask yourself, like, what are things that I like? Like, what clubs I might be interested in, you know? And another thing, this is actually really cool. You guys didn't do this at Holt, but we're trying to get all the high schools to do this in middle schools. But at our middle school, we do this thing we just started last year when we opened called Den Time, because we're the Grizzlies. And it's not a class where we grade the kids on anything. It's just every Monday for like 45, 50 minutes, the kids get to pick kind of like a club. And the teachers offer a bunch of different clubs. Like it's just whatever we want to do. I mean, there's literally anything. There's a finance class, which, again, I want to take with these kids. Like,
take that.
Amazing. Like,
I swear that is one of the most important skills you'll need when you're older.
And
like,
I still need it, and I'm almost 32.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, they have life skill things. They have just, like, board games, puzzles. They have a walking club. They have, like, a PE game. Like, it's all just anything you can think of.
It's awesome.
And the whole purpose of it, again, it's not graded. It's just to get kids. I think, in my opinion, it's kind of a good segue into high school life, because 6th graders, 7th and 8th grade do it, and they're merged, so you have 6th, 7th, and 8th graders all in those groups, and you get to meet like-minded people, and that's just like what high school will be.
Yeah, I'd say that's a really, really good thing to do then, especially because you'll have those connections into the older classes going into it, so that would probably make the transition a little bit easier.
Definitely. So think whatever. If you're a middle schooler at North Point in particular listening to this, like, think about what group you're in, build those connections now, because you'll still see familiar faces. Like, if you're a 6th grader in with an 8th grader, like, you'll see them in high school someday. They'll be a junior when you're a freshman, you know, and you'll always remember that you guys connected over walking club, or there's like a Taylor Swift, a Swiftie club. It's so funny. I love it so much.
One of my best friends is a big Swiftie.
I love it. Yeah. It's so cute. So, yes, I just wanted to capitalize on that with what you said. Just kind of like the identity, self-discovery, like try new things, be open-minded. And if you don't know where to start, soul search first and think of one thing that really interests you. And if it's band, go for all the things. I don't know. You just said that, and that made me think about Den Time.
Right.
So that's very true. Great advice. Okay, so now let's kind of think more. As you're kind of growing through your high school years. So now we're no longer freshmen, Cam, Wiese, we're getting older. Talk about your evolution just through high school in general, the hard things, good things.
Okay. So one of the things that sometimes I'll think about where I'm just like, why did I do that? I think it was like my sophomore year maybe. And it was with social media. So Twitter was kind of still relatively new for younger kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was like 2014. So I was an idiot on Twitter. Like I would, because again, this is me with like, you know, I was a cool kid. I had a little more confidence being friends with all these upperclassmen and stuff. And I would like be involved with, I wouldn't start it all the time, but I would be involved with like drama on Twitter.
Yeah.
And
like peer drama, like at Holt particularly, for example?
In other schools. Like
okay.
Some of it was like, it was mostly with like sports, like after like a football game or a hockey game,
like
or
talking smack,
something. Yeah, a lot of smack talking, and that caused like people to hate me.
At Holt, like,
no, like
all over the place.
Other schools specifically. Like,
oh my gosh!
But that is one thing I would recommend to just be like cautious with, is because you can build like a bad rep quickly on social media, especially nowadays with how quickly you can go viral. Like TikTok wasn't even a thing when I was younger. It was Vine. Yeah. But that's something I would advise. Like that's just the first thing that comes to mind. I would advise against being an idiot on social media.
My students will take well to that, because I'm like, are you being an idiot? Yeah. Don't be an idiot today. Come on. Like jokingly, obviously, but I use that term quite a lot.
Me too.
Because look at this. This is true. Like he's admitting I was an idiot. Yeah,
and I learned really quickly from that. It was like I got humbled.
Yeah.
But it was good. I needed it. And then so I only used that as I got older, especially because sophomore year I was an older kid, because my birthday's in July, so I always started the year at that age. Most people turn throughout the year. So like sophomore year, I was going in 16, so I could drive. I was one of the first people that could drive. And
so the coolest sophomore.
Yeah, one of the coolest guys around.
Because of that.
Yeah.
He had the car.
And so I say that because once you can drive, that's when me and my friend group started hanging out with groups from other schools. And
which is fun.
Yeah,
I remember that too.
That's one of the benefits of social media connection, is you can meet people from other schools and build your friend group that way. But sophomore year, I'd say the level of difficulty for high school, freshman is the easiest. Yeah. So new goers, you don't got a whole lot to worry about, like school wise. That doesn't mean don't take it serious. Right. Because still take it serious, but it gives you time to prep for the years that are like coming up next. Because you know they have like the levels. They have like Chem 2 or whatever and stuff. And so sophomore year was probably the next difficult, and then I would say junior year was probably the hardest in terms of school. Like academics. Yeah. Slapped you in the face. Junior year, I remember it being like a really heavy class load. It's like you're getting to that time where you're peaking in all of the different class subjects. Like you'll have the hardest government class, you'll have the hardest chem class. Yep. Senior year wasn't easy, but it was a lot easier than junior year, I'd say. Just because I agree. Because you're getting towards the end of like finishing your credit requirements, and so you can take a few classes to, like you can take like an extra gym class or something. But that's what I would say the level of difficulty is for the
I agree.
Class levels. Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that. I remember that being the same way. I remember taking my senior year, I took weightlifting and I failed weightlifting because I couldn't squat properly and I wasn't, I guess, being helped. I don't know. But I hurt my knees really bad, so I literally couldn't finish the class, and I couldn't do cross. It was horrible. I think it was my senior year, but I had to switch classes into a new elective, and I just took PE again because I loved it. And I had a bunch of freshmen in that class. I'm pretty sure I was a senior that year, so it was like all these freshman kids, the senior that failed weightlifting, and then like all of the druggies, I guess you would say, just like the kids that have that reputation of like making bad decisions. But it was still, to this day, I am in my early 30s, and I remember that class. It was one of the funnest, non-judgmental classes I've ever been in. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, like this is embarrassing. Right. I'm a senior and I'm with these like babies. I kind of had this like crappy attitude about it. And then, oh my gosh, like I'm associating with like a bad crowd of people. But it was the best. Oh my gosh. It was, I made so many new friends. It was the coolest thing. It was awesome.
Yeah. That's the the joy of like the setup where you can just meet people you wouldn't normally like associate with.
Yep, and have that open-mindedness to doing that, not just being set on your only friend group that you had. That was another thing that just made me think, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
Your flow. The girls that gave me some advice that are current freshmen said something along the lines of, I wish I had it written down. I just escaped my mind. What were we just talking about? Open-mindedness. Oh, like, don't hold on to grudges from 8th grade.
Oh, yeah.
Like, squash the beef, and if you don't squash it, like if there's never a moment for you to squash the beef with your friends in middle school before you go to the next chapter, then just be big enough to like let it go.
Right.
As best as you can. I know that's more easier said than done, of course, but like that was a big thing the girl said, was just let it go and move on. Like, it's a whole new world when you get to high school. Don't hold resentment or grudges.
I completely agree with that. Yeah. It's only going to help you in the long run. Like, holding a grudge is just an extra worry you're holding on to. Like, it's just like extra baggage, and it's pointless, honestly. Especially when, like, especially at that age, when you're so young, holding on to a grudge against someone, you'll probably never talk to them again after high school. Like, I can't even count the amount of people who like I had like a grudge against and never talk to them again after high school.
Yeah, that's the truth. I mean,
it's like you'll never see them again.
Exactly. Like, you might be, social media buddies, but like you don't ever have to worry about that interaction, or if you ever see them in public, like you don't have to acknowledge a problem. I don't know. But that was it. I remember her saying that, or the girl saying that. So I just wanted to touch on that. So academics got a little bit harder, which is to expect in high school as you progress. Senior year, it is meant to be easier on you, so that you can kind of have more of a fun and enjoyable last year and hoorah of high school. Did you feel, so that kind of leads me to my next question for you. Did you feel prepared for adult life after high school?
In certain aspects, like I feel like high school prepares you for like college classes, but it's like very hard to prepare for like the life you'll be living, because when you go to college, you're buying your own groceries, you're doing all of your own stuff, you're doing your own laundry if you're not already doing that. Start doing that.
Learn now.
Dishes. So I feel like it prepares you as much as you can for the academic portion of it, but just the life portion, it's like very different.
Kind of slaps you in the face at times. And that also is dependent on like what home life we have. Like if you have parents that are talking to you and kind of sharing with you what's to come. And some kids just don't have that, unfortunately. Like, parents don't think to sit their kids down and say, hey, reality is going to hit you. Some parents don't have those heart-to-hearts with them, and kids are so naive, even more naive than what we already are going into the real world. But like I want to acknowledge that too, that not all of us have a wonderful background of loving, caring, consistent parents, and you're seen. Like, you're seen, we understand that, and that's when I think those of you who have that situation, just ask more questions, and don't be afraid to ask for help. So where did you go? How did you select colleges? Did you want to go to college? Like, let's dive into that part of your life. Sip of water for this one.
So,
I'm totally taking your glass of water.
Go for it.
Thank you.
I was not prepared for college at all. Like, I was just, my mom really tried to prepare me as much as she could, but I was just not ready. Like, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Like, zero idea, zero clue. And I was like, I'll just go. So freshman year, I went to Mizzou, University of Missouri in Columbia, and I roomed with Jake Tompkins. He was my roommate. We had like a suite, so it was like our dorm and then a bathroom that connected into another dorm. And I was like, I'll just take some basic like business classes, basic psychology class, just like a bunch of basic classes to see if I really find what I want to do. And I also, so at the time, I don't know if she's gonna watch this or not, but I had a girlfriend. So she was like my most serious girlfriend.
Was the high school, like, weren't you dating her in high school?
Yeah.
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 Right?
Her name's Avery.
Yes.
I'll name drop her.
Yeah.
We're on great terms. We
I
still
remember.
talk. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Her mom's like really good friends with my mom still.
Aww.
Yeah, we're on good terms. It's fine. But I had a really like serious girlfriend at the time, and I think that was part of my decision to go to Mizzou.
I was gonna ask that. Okay.
Along with like, you know, I loved Jake so much. Like he's my best friend. I was like, I'll just go where he goes. It'll be fine.
Oh.
And,
hey, that's common.
Yeah, and so I did not know what I wanted to do. On the living aspect of it, I feel like I transitioned all pretty good. Like I got good at like doing all my own laundry. You know, had a normal eating schedule, sleeping schedule. But it was just like I still didn't know what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you have any questions, feel free to cut me off. I'm just gonna kind of
go for it.
Go.
Yeah, of course.
Like with the story, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so about at the end of the semester, my grades were good. Like I was doing all my work. I was getting by fine. And then at the end of the semester, I was like thinking, I don't know if this is the place for me. Like I was like, I don't know if I love this so much. I was always a bad student. Like I had good grades, but like, you know, it was a lot of like last minute stuff, a lot of like just winging it on the fly. And so at the end of it, I was like, I just don't really know if I want to do school right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was talking to my mom, and she was like, man, maybe give it another try. We'll see after the semester. I was like, all right. And so next semester, in February, I'm so sorry, Avery, I end up breaking up with Avery just because I was like having like a lot of like existential like stuff, like crisis. Like I was like, I really don't know what I want to do. Like I have no idea where I'm going. I'm kind of just like
what's my purpose?
Yeah, living in limbo. I don't know if I want to pursue a degree that I'm not gonna actually get a job for, and so broke up with girlfriend, and then I had friends who went to Missouri State in Springfield, and randomly one night I was like, what if I came to Missouri State like for next year? They're like, yeah, do it. I was like, okay. And so like within like a couple weeks, I planned out my next year. I'm gonna go to Missouri State in Springfield, like change of scenery, a little bit smaller college, still very fun. If anyone's a senior considering, if you're considering Mizzou or Mo State, they're both super fun. It's very different atmospheres, but they're both really cool.
Cool.
And I met some of the coolest people ever who I still talk to. Some of my best friends in Springfield. And so I don't know if you know Austin Hobbs.
I remember the name. I don't remember.
Yeah, he did track. I don't know if he was there for junior and senior year, but he kind of looked like me. Like everyone said, we would lie and tell people we're cousins.
That's funny.
Because people would believe it because we looked so much alike. And so I roomed with him. We got like an apartment in Springfield. Started going to classes next year. Jake was not happy I left.
He was like, traitor.
Yeah, he was not happy at all. He's like, what are you thinking? Like, why are you doing this? I was like, I don't know, man. Like this, it's not working out right now. I want to try something different. And so Springfield is like where I started also like getting into more high risk activities. Like,
it's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was drinking a lot more. Not really, because I was still 20 and I looked super young, so no one believed.
Yeah.
Like, I had a fake ID and everything.
Right,
and
right.
No one believed it, but.
Yep.
I started, getting into some bad stuff, and my grades were falling a little bit behind. I didn't fail anything, but like more into the B's and C's, which is totally fine. C's get degrees.
By the way, so funny.
And then at the end, like, so the first semester goes by. I'm just like not feeling it. Like I'm like, I really thought this would be good. I tell Hobbs, my roommate, I was like, I'm sorry, man, but this just isn't for me either. Like, I'm so sorry. So I moved back home and went my fourth semester at SCA, St. Charles Community College. And that was fine. Moving back home really helped me because my mom, like, she's like one of the most disciplined people I know. Like, she helps me so much with like getting back into working out because I was kind of lingering off, you know, because I was always in super good shape. I took like working out very serious. And
sorry, I do want to interrupt real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you went to Mizzou, didn't you walk on, or didn't you try to do soccer or track there?
I tried to walk on. So the summer after senior year, I did summer track to try and get my 400 time down a little, and I managed to get it pretty quick just because that club summer track was different. Like it was like, no offense, Tiernan.
Yeah.
Those workouts were, oh my God,
insane.
Yeah, and I was just like at the peak or like right at the border of like the walk-on time, and I contacted the coaches like a couple weeks, like it was my fault, like a couple weeks before the season started, and they're like, we're actually out of walk-on spots. And I was like, I was kind of upset, but at the same time I was like, I wouldn't get paid for it. It would mostly just be like an experience. But it sucked, but it was like, it's fine. Like I wasn't too upset about it. But
so once you stopped sports, kind of, were you able to still kind of work out and take care of yourself for a while, or was that the starting point of like,
So Mizzou, I was actually still working out pretty consistently.
They have great facilities.
Mizzou's rec is insane. It's like, I think my freshman year was like, it was ranked 2 in the nation.
Whew.
Behind LSU, I think. But
wow.
Yeah, it's very impressive. They have a whole, like a giant Olympic-sized pool.
Yep.
And they have a track upstairs, and so me and Jake were pretty good at like getting each other to go work out every day, and so that was fine. But then like most state, my third semester of school, that was when I was like slacking a little. Like I was just like very lost.
That's
I feel
a good
like
way of putting it.
Like I didn't know what I wanted to do again. And so, like I said, my 4th semester, I moved back home and went to St. Charles and lived with my mom again, which was awesome. I would say, unless you're like going to college, live with your parents as long as you can. Save money as much as you can.
Yep. So many benefits to it.
Very, very smart.
A better relationship with them.
Yeah.
So good. I agree.
And she was really good. So she got me into, when I moved back, to CrossFit for a while.
You did CrossFit?
Yeah, I did CrossFit.
I didn't know that. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, I did like the competitive CrossFit. I was pretty good too.
I believe it.
Yeah. And I wish I would have stuck with it, but so that was fine. So got back on track a little. And then the summer going into my junior year, I like injured myself really badly. I don't even remember what I did, and it's still messed up to this day. Like,
was it from CrossFit? Do you remember?
I have no idea.
No idea.
Like
okay.
One day, it's so weird. Like one day I just woke up and my whole left side of my body was like aching. My shoulder, my rib cage, my hips. And so I had no idea what was going on. And so I started working out a little, and it just like hurt so bad. And I could feel like air like in my chest, like trapped, and I couldn't get it out. And so I went to the hospital because at the time, like, it felt like I was like having a heart attack. I was like, this is crazy. Like, what's going on? And so they did a bunch of tests. They're like, you look fine. Like, you're perfectly healthy.
And you're like, I beg to differ.
I was like, I'm not. And so that's kind of what started me having troubles working out, which was very depressing.
Right.
Like, because like the one thing that I like would do just
and you felt really good at.
Yeah, and like I was really good at, I couldn't do. Like I couldn't do it anymore. It just hurt so bad. I was really upset. I couldn't like run very far. And then so I was thinking in that summer, I was like, what do I want to do now? And I was like, I'll give school one more chance. And so I went to Mizzou again.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I went back to Mizzou.
Okay.
For my junior year, and I lived with Tompkins again. I lived with Michael Gomsky, who you said you don't remember, but he was like he was, and just want to talk about him for a second. He's a great guy. He's one of the most disciplined, awesome dudes I know. Like, he is on his stuff. and he was a bigger guy in high school. Like, he'll admit he was like chunkier.
Yeah.
But he was always really strong baseball player. And now he runs marathons.
Really? Oh my gosh. Yes.
It's crazy to see.
How life changes.
Yeah, it's awesome. And so I lived with him. And then I lived with one of my other buddies. His name's Jake Cardwell. I don't know if...
Yep, I remember him.
Oh, really? Yeah, so great guy. He's super fit now, too. I don't know if, like he's big, like very strong.
Yeah? Good for him.
And and so that we were all in a house, like a little townhome. And again, I was stupid to go back. I was just like, I don't know what I want to do. Like, by the end of the semester, I was just completely, like, cooked. Like, I was done. I was like, I can't do school. Like, I'm just...
What made you kind of think to go back to Mizzou? Was it more of just the friends? Like, you just kind of wanted to be with the safe space with those people?
I think it was. And just, like, the fear of being, like, of missing out on something.
Yeah, FOMO, for sure. That's the thing. Yeah.
Because, like, I was thinking I could always go later, but then I wouldn't have, like, friends to do it with. And so I was like, I'll give it one more shot. And it just wasn't for me. I was terrible. Like, that semester was, like, my worst. I think I failed a class, which it was my first class I had ever failed. It was Spanish. And, like, one of the moments I remember, because I was such a slacker for remembering when stuff was, get those planners.
Yeah, that's right.
I remember I missed one of the classes before. I missed the previous class, and then the next class I go to, and she starts handing out tests, and I was like, oh, this is game over.
Yeah, throwing it in.
Yep, I just tried my best, turned it in. I think I got a D, but...
Well, hey, didn't totally bomb.
Passed below average.
Yeah.
But, no, and then at the end of the semester, I was just like, I'm done. I'm coming home. I'm just going to work. And so this was like... maybe like 2020, I think.
COVID.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. So I dropped out of school, but I stayed living there. Now that you say that, I remember. I stayed living there, and I worked at a gym. So I was like, I'm gonna try and do something. And so I worked at a gym, my junior year for like what was their sixth semester, I guess. And it was cool. Like, it was good. I was thinking about doing personal training as well. They had like a class for it. And then COVID hit, and then the gym shut off, and so I didn't have a job, and so now I was like, all right, I can't pay rent. I'm gonna get someone to sign on to the lease. Yeah. And I'm just gonna move back home. And so
keep going. Ignore this. We're fine on time.
Okay. And so I did. I moved home. And I got a job at Schnucks in Wentzville just to get something, because they were like a grocery store. They were still open. I was just like, well, I'll make some money. And it was so boring. I was like the door person. Like, I greeted people at the door. I was just like, give me anything.
God,
like,
love ya.
I'll do anything. And so I just was a door greeter. One of the craziest things, though, I see this dude who was clearly on something. Walk in the door, like, wide-eyed, like, eyeing me. And I was like, what the heck?
Like, hey, sir.
Yeah, and so he walks by me. And I see him, like, he was in there for maybe 5 minutes, and he leaves out of the entrance door. And so, like, we're told not to, if we think someone's stealing, don't intervene with it. And he leaves out the door that he came in, the entrance door. He has to physically pull it open because it doesn't have a sensor, because it's an entrance door. Yeah. With this, like, 50-pound giant teddy bear.
Oh my gosh.
In a shopping cart. It was like $300. And he leaves with it. And I was like, that was so weird. And then I just see the manager fly out. I was like, oh my God. But
it's so wild.
That was just a random.
Schnucks memes.
Yeah, Schnucks memes. And then while working there, I actually got sick with COVID. And this was at the height of, like, all the scare. Like, no one really knew what it was at the time. Like, so I was scared. I was
Absolutely.
like, I see people on the news are dying from this, and I was like, all right. I put in my 2 weeks, and they're like, just don't even worry about it. You can just. I was like, okay, cool. And so at the time, I was still sick, and I didn't want to get a job, and they were offering unemployment, and so I took the unemployment benefits for a little, and they screwed me so hard, because they said, I'm paying it back currently. Yes. Because they said that because I didn't wait for my final paycheck from Schnucks, while receiving unemployment benefits that I was technically working while receiving I was technically employed while receiving unemployment benefits. So I have to pay everything back, which sucks. But,
yeah. Screw
anyways,
COVID.
yeah, it was terrible. And so this was probably 2020 still. And so I was like, Mom, I don't know what I should do now. I was done. I was like, fine again, not sick anymore. And she was like, I have a friend who's owns a sales business selling internet and cable. I was like, okay, fine. I'll do whatever. Like, I don't know what I want to do. I'll try anything. And so she's like, she hooks me up with the guy, and we have a FaceTime interview. It was pretty quick. He obviously like wanted another employee, and he figured I would be the guy for it. And so I was doing it, and that was actually all right. It was very hard though, because it was strictly commission based. And so if you're not working, you're not getting sales, you're not getting paid.
Yeah.
And so that was really hard, especially with like the increasing rent from the pandemic. And so my mom at the time, she moved over to Illinois with a friend. And so, and then at that time, my dad also had moved to Baldwin. And so I was like, all right, well, I don't want to move to either of those places yet, so I'll just get an apartment somewhere. And so I was apartment shopping, got an apartment like off of Olive Boulevard in Chesterfield. It was fine. It was all right. The apartment was cool. I had a cool neighbor who I hung out with sometimes. But that was like, getting that apartment was like one of my biggest regrets. I should have just moved in with I should have asked a friend, or I should have just moved in with one of my parents, because that was the biggest waste of money ever, especially with like my inconsistent job at the time.
The stress.
Right. And so I was super depressed. To be honest. I was super lonely in my apartment. Like, I didn't have a ton of people to talk to. And so that was like really hard for me. Especially with my parents being like far away and all my friends being in school again. God damn it.
It's okay. It's okay.
But
you're doing great.
And I think everyone knew that too, which like, cause like people would reach out to me and I really appreciated it, and I still remember who did and stuff. And I was just like living really unhealthy, like eating gas station food every day and doing a bunch of bad stuff, drinking every single day. That was like spiral down, like just 0 to 100, completely different person. And I remember like one day I was just like looking in the mirror. I was like, what the hell happened? And I was like, I'm just not the person I once was. I have no idea what I want to do. God damn it.
It's okay. You're doing amazing.
Yeah. And wasn't working out at all. Was like, there'd be days I just didn't get out of bed. Like, I'd spend the whole day in bed. Just doing a bunch of bad things.
Do you mind elaborating or just kind of mentioning specifically, like,
yeah,
what's
like
bad?
I was just like getting high every day, like smoking a lot of weed every day, all day, every day, like immediately wake up, like make something small to eat, wouldn't eat for the rest of the day, just like totally out of it, and like didn't know what to do. That was really rough. Like, that was probably the hardest time I've ever had. Like, I was, like, really losing... I was, like, losing myself. Like, the will to do anything. Be anything. But, thankfully, what helped a lot, my lease was up. I had no idea what I was going to do. My mom moved to Baldwin. My mom moved to Baldwin, and so I moved in with her. She got me back on track. And so forever indebted to her in that aspect.
Shout out to Mama.
Shout out to Mom. And my brother. I'll give a huge shout out to him. He's helped me so much. Love him to death. He's helped me, like, I'm like working out again every day, eating healthy. And so I'll just say like before, like where I'm at now, just to throw it in there, I did get a job at Amazon. That was like the final job before where I'm at now. I took like a seasonal position during like Christmas, and they were offering like $25 an hour, which was like great pay.
Yeah.
Hard, very hard job, super hard. I was working like the packaging line. And it was I was working 1 a.m. to 11 a.m. Yeah. And so my sleep schedule was actually I took the Amazon job right before my lease was up, so I was still in the apartment. And I quit the sales job. I was like, I just can't do it. Like, I need something, because you're kind of on your own time. I was like, I need something where I have to be there. Get me out of bed.
Yep.
Because, yeah, and that was rough. And so after Amazon was done, I moved in with my mom in Ballin. And so this was probably like end of 2021 by this time. Because I was in my apartment for like, I think I re-signed a lease. So I think I was there for like a year and a half maybe. And, yeah, I was, don't need to elaborate anymore on that, I guess, right?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after that was done, moved in with my mom, and she was so great. She was so active and trying to get me better. And I still had this issue, like, it was really bad, so I couldn't work out. Like, I couldn't like do any lifts or any sort of run without feeling so much pain. And so she and my cousin, who also had a similar issue, it was weird, hooked me up with this like specialist on the skeletal system, who saw like for some reason the whole left side of my body was out of line. Like my ribs were pushed back, so that's why I was feeling so much pressure when trying to release air. And my hips were rotated, shoulder. It was so weird. It's like the whole left side of my body. Weirdest thing ever. And so she taught me all these stretches and different breathing exercises to kind of like realign my rib cage, because the way you breathe, like your ribs expand a certain way. And so that was very helpful. And after that, my mom was like, all right, let's get you back working. I was like, all right, let's do it. I'll do anything. And so I started applying to a bunch of different jobs. I was just looking for anything. And she eventually goes like, well, because she's the head of marketing at the bank. Like she's the top of marketing. And she's like, I could probably get you a job at the bank. I was like, okay. And she's like, you'd have to take it very serious. Like no more BS.
Yeah.
Like quit anything that you're doing. Serious. I was like, okay, 100%. I will do this for you. And I'll do it for me. Yeah. And then, so she got me the job at the bank, went in, met everyone, got trained. Training took like 3 weeks to get going. Like, cause I was working the teller line at first, just like helping people with transactions. It was going great. And then they moved me to a new branch, to help out there. Again, going great. One of the head banker at that bank went on like a month-long vacation, so I got an opportunity to see what I could do at banking, like the banking aspect, like account openings and stuff like that. And I did great. And so I eventually moved. They renovated the whole branch, and so now we're in a very nice modern branch. And recently, as of this year, quarter two of this year, so April, May, June, I was top 2% of sales in the company. I won an award. I got put on the website. And ever since then, things are going fantastic. So that is kind of where we're at now. And so I've just really been focusing on like my own health. Like the 3 biggest things are getting back into working out, because fitness is so important, especially as you get older. Like being fit, training your cardiovascular system, keeping a healthy heart, lungs, it's very good. Diet is so important as well. Eating clean. I cook for myself all the time now. It's so good. No more gas station food every day. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And then sleep sleep schedule is, which I had struggled with like a lot. Like I was terrible. I'd stay up till like 3 a.m. all the time. And now I'm very good at it. There's still times where I'll like stay up late, but it's not as big of a deal as it once was.
Right.
But I'm just very focused on myself right now, and it's going very great.
Who? Yeah, good job.
Yeah, I've never told that whole story before. Like my whole like
Never, ever?
after high school, I've never explained like, yeah, that was first time ever. And
How do you feel?
I feel good. You know, like I try to be very vague because I mean I could have gone really. I don't know if like you wanted me to be super specific about, you know, things, but
Yeah, I mean you could have gone off the
I just didn't know. Yeah, like because it was all in the apartment by myself. Like that was the darkest times. Like.
And really, kind of like what I'm hearing. Correct me if I'm wrong. What really maximized the pain and the darkness for you seemed to be loneliness, like that aspect of just like
not talking to anyone. And that's what I thought I wanted at first. Like I thought once I'm done with school, I don't want to be like I don't want to talk to anyone. Like I was kind of embarrassed too.
I was gonna ask that.
Dropping out.
Yeah.
Because college dropout gets like kind of like a bad label, I feel like. But it just wasn't for me. Like I was just not a school person, and I was so worried I was gonna finish and get a degree that I didn't end up even getting a job for.
Yep.
That was like my biggest fear ever. And it just wasn't for me. I should have not gone like a while ago. Like I shouldn't have done a junior year attempt. I probably shouldn't have even done a sophomore year, but I don't regret it too, because I had a lot of good times, and like I got to build relations. Like if I didn't go to Mo State, I wouldn't know half the people I talk to today, like to this day, like every day.
Yeah.
So I don't regret it, but.
Did you feel pressured to go to college by anyone?
Yeah.
Like societal pressure,
yeah, for
family?
sure, because it's the norm. Like everyone expects you to go to school. My mom and dad both wanted me to. They both did. But there's nothing wrong with like not, especially if you have like an idea for like if you want to go into a trade, like you want to do like there's specific schools like which I think are really good, like teach you exactly how to do one job, which you can then branch out into other jobs. But college is so broad, and if you have no idea, I would say at least maybe attempt a year if you're contemplating it. But if you're still confused, I would it's really about like following your passions and what you want to do. And I just like helping people now, and so that's like what this job gives me the opportunity to do. It's great. Like all the clients, they love me. When I'm not there, I hear they ask for me. So it's really nice. And
goosebumps.
Yeah, I love it so much. But yeah, it's just like I wish I would have like try like it's hard to say, because when you're in that mind state, like when you're so low, it's like hard to say like I wish I would have just tried, because you can't, like
you were in survival mode.
Yeah, it's like I was like living day to day, like
minute by minute.
Yeah,
kinda,
I was like
on.
I don't know what's gonna happen, and it was bad. But
who would you say, and I apologize if you did say similar to this, like was it your mom and your brother who specifically kind of got you out of that, or when was the moment? Was it the moment that you said you looked at yourself in the mirror and you're like, who the heck am I? Like, was that kind of when you
and that
made
was
the switch?
That was often, like, I was just like, every night I was like, what am I doing? And it was definitely my mom at first, like, for sure, because she was always like, it's not like she wasn't worried about me.
Well, right.
It's like, I wouldn't talk to her. Like, I was definitely being very, like, cold, because I didn't want her to know that I was, like, struggling so bad.
Right.
But there was like times when I would just like go off the rails, and I'd call her. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like
So you did reach out at times.
Yeah.
For help.
Yeah.
In a way.
And I did, and I think she knew that I was. Sometimes she'll say she moved back. Like she says she moved back for her, but I know part of it was me to help me.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of it all stems from just not being prepared for life. Like, so I didn't know if you wanted like this to turn into, like, I thought.
No, I think it's all great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And so I would tell young people to plan. Like, make a plan, even if you don't know for sure. Just have some sort of general plan. Like, if you want to go to college, like, find what you like and focus on that. Because I had no idea, and I still don't, like, to this day, but I am enjoying what I'm doing, and I'm living a lot healthier. So,
and happier.
Yeah, and it's going really well.
I think that's a beautiful thing to make that point for, this up and coming generation and young adults. Like, you're even still a young adult. I'd like to say I am too. But,
yeah, you are.
A lot of people don't know who they are, right? We talked about identity earlier and, what they want to do. And I think you can go one of two routes, how you said, like, if you don't know what you do or to do and you still go to college, like, pursue that first year. You may very well find out what you love if you take that risk and go to college your freshman year.
Yeah.
'Cause it's kind of like high school, like your freshman year, you're introduced to so many different things.
Right.
I always knew quite literally since I was 5 years old that I was going to be a teacher. Like, I was very fortunate to kind of have that
That's
calling,
awesome.
and I knew that, and not a lot of people have that. So I was very blessed. But my dad took me to freshman orientation at college, and we went to Lindenwood for my running scholarship, but also it's like one of the top education schools in Missouri, and he was like, that you're going to be a teacher, so we're, this is what we're doing. The day we went there to sign up for our degree, I went to athletic training. I was like, nope, psych. I literally saw the table for teaching and educators, went to go to it, and then I saw the one near it that said athletic training, which I also thought was personal training because I too wanted to do that. I was so passionate about fitness. And the day that I was signing up to be a teacher, I signed up to be an athletic trainer, and I literally thought that was a personal trainer. It is not, for those of you that don't know what that is. But So I stayed in that degree for 2 years. My freshman and sophomore year of college, I was in athletic training school. And what that ended up being, not personal training, is how to rehab injuries, taking care of athletes who are injured, helping them grow through their injuries, whatever. Like, you're taking care of athletes, basically. But I fell in love with it. I really did it because I love sports. And so I really loved it. After 2 years, something really scared me about it. The potential of me, this sounds really dramatic, but me being responsible for killing somebody, because we practice with football athletes, and if they got tackled in their spine and they were paralyzed, we were trained as athletic trainers, like, you have to grab their head on a spine board, if you move their head, they could die. Yeah. And I remember I was like, nope, I can't deal with that pressure. So I went to teaching my sophomore year. So anyway, that was kind of my background. But I say that because I was someone that knew exactly what I was meant to do. And I started off, I wouldn't say wrong, because like you, I don't regret anything. And I loved the schooling experience for those 2 years of athletic training. But, there are people like my husband. He went to school for emergency and disaster training. He wanted to be a firefighter, was so passionate. I still think that he would just be the best in the world at all those things because he's so loving and nurturing. And he loved those classes, but school was not for him either. And he dropped out, and he ended up going to trade school. If you're hearing this, I'm sorry if I'm wrong. I should know this about my husband, but I get him and my brother's journey confused at times because they are similar. But he went into the trade, and now he owns his own construction company. So you just never know. It's okay if you don't know what you want to do at first, but it can also be a very scary place to be.
Yeah, and I would say just always, don't be too cool to ask for help. Because life outside of high school is just completely different ballgame. You're in with every single other person in society. And that's what I would say about that.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's deep. Sorry, I just had to say that.
No,
don't be
good.
cool. I want to reiterate that. Don't be too cool to ask for help. And my first podcast episode, I don't know if you saw it, but it was about male mental health in society and kind of asking for help. And so I kind of want to ask you, being a dude in society, do you think that stigma kind of suffocated you in kind of your dark times of I shouldn't be this way. I'm
probably.
A man,
Yeah, I would say that. I'd probably say because I just didn't want any help. I almost think I didn't deserve it. I thought I should be this is stuff I should be able to do on my own. What am I doing? And but no, that's not the case. it's always okay to ask for help, especially like, just with anything actually.
Yeah.
I did want to say regarding like the young people, because I know in high school you start to take on like that peer pressure side of things, and you start to get involved with, other high risk activities is what I always said. But I'm not going to say don't do it, because I'm not going to listen to me. Like, who am I?
Yeah.
I did it. And so it's like, I would just say be very careful. Just don't be stupid. Like,
don't be an idiot.
Yeah, don't be an idiot. Like, don't try and show off. That's another thing. The peer pressure to get people, like, people will try to get you to do crazy things to look cool. And that is just not it. Like, it's just not worth it. You know, I know people who are no longer around because of that type of thing. And it's just not worth it. So I would just say be very careful and build those careful habits, because you'll experience more in college if you decide to go to that. But
yeah, and stay busy, like in a healthy amount as best as you can.
No,
but like,
that is a very good point.
Like, keep yourself engaged.
Yes, keep yourself occupied. And especially for the seniors going into college, like, college is probably the best place to branch out and discover yourself and pursue your passions. Like, I can guarantee, like, anyone in high school right now is not the same person you will be 5-6 years from now. I'm not the same person I was at like 21.
Right.
And like, it's just crazy because you have so much opportunity to find yourself. And so, take that, realize the importance in that, and don't almost, I don't want to say like throw it away, but like just take it seriously, like, because this is it's the perfect place to discover what and who you want to be. Yeah.
And to your point that you said really closer to the beginning of like, time is not on our side, really, ever.
Oh yeah.
It's not. Time is of the essence, and don't get caught up in having the mentality that he mentioned earlier of like, I can do it next year.
Right.
I can do it, in a few months. Like, that opportunity.
That's something I really learned to embrace because of my like worst times. Like, I don't even remember my like 22 and like being 22, barely 23. Like, I don't even remember it. And and again, I don't like to have regrets because that's something you hold on to. So it is what it is. I'm the person I am now because of it. But it just reinforces the fact that you truly don't have time. Like, and you do, but don't tell yourself you do.
Yeah, like don't get so attached to that.
Yeah, like, don't do what you want to do now. It's better to say like you started today than looking in a year saying I wish I would have started then.
Right.
And starting then.
You don't want to have that regret.
Right.
For sure. Oh my gosh, there was something that just crossed my mind and I was going to say it and I totally... So one thing that is really powerful to me, and like I heard you just say, I don't even remember when I was 22 and barely 23, right? Like, that's a testament to how low it brought you. And just for listeners out there, I kind of want to reiterate, like, when I knew him and first met him, my perception of you as a student athlete in high school was that, he had the world at his fingertips. Like, again, great student, worked hard in school, made good grades, great person. People loved him, except Twitter people. Apparently people on Twitter hated you.
For a year.
For a while. But he was very well known in a healthy, happy way at Holt High School, my impression, right? And like on the team, like us coaches just really admired him, still do. But like he really did. He was the kid in school that had it. I feel like if other people looked at you, they would be like, he's got it all,
I would go off that point actually and say that now that you say that, it kind of makes me realize that was part of why I was kind of embarrassed with where I was, because you know, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I did hear that, like you're going to be something. And so I was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to be, but
okay, whatever you say.
Something.
Yeah.
And so that was another thing where it was like, it hit hard, where I was like, damn, I was supposed to be great, and now I'm just like this.
Ugh.
But yeah, and it was really depressing. But you know, it's so hard. It's like, for someone who is depressed, it's impossible to tell them, just do this. Like, you'll be fine if you just do this. It's really about just making that first step. I feel like the biggest thing for me was, like, I was so far down, I was like, I'll never make it back up. But I was focusing on this big picture of making, like, all these steps in one go, when, like, first step is just, like, getting up and making your bed.
Yeah.
Like, it's just,
eating.
You have to take these big goals in these baby steps. Like, you're not gonna be able to, like, be whatever you want to be, achieve whatever goal you want to achieve in a day. Like,
right.
I feel like if you focus too much on the end goal, you're missing the middle part, which is the steps
and the developmental piece,
and like growing and stuff. And and so it was really, that's what really helped me, learning how to take it step by step. So it started just waking up, making my bed, cleaning my room,
and celebrating that, kind of like just with yourself, like
right. And it is a good feeling, like, once you do that, like, once you do these things, you feel really good. Like, it's
so good.
Yeah.
And that's what, like, so to that point, you know, at his high school point, like, that's what he had, the world at his fingertips. And what I'm getting at is, like, hearing his evolution through life over the past, you know, 5-6 years. Someone who allegedly had it all, you know, this was this stereotype that a lot of people kind of put him in, which is it's a beautiful, huge compliment, because you did, you know, ideally at that time. Right. He's human. You're human. And people who seemingly have it all, like, we go through hell too, and we go through these downs. And, you know, I think there's a lot of 8th graders right now in particular, you know, or every grade has the kids that have it all together and that are going to do great things. But you know, just like my first episode, Clayton Eckerd said, like, check on your happy friends just as much as you check on your sad friends, because a lot of us are just masking it. And look at what you went through.
Right.
But also look at what you overcame.
Right.
Like, that's what gets me emotional, like, to see you here today, like.
Yeah, and it was a hell of a ride, like.
And it might not be over, you know?
Yeah, no, it's not. Like, I'm still growing and learning, and I don't know where I'll be in, like, 5 years from now. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But at least I've built myself, like, this foundation that I can, like, if something bad happens, you know, I've developed these habits and discipline
and skills.
Yes, with the again, huge help to my mom and brother, like, my God. But like, if I am to fall on my back again, like, I feel like I'm not gonna fall nearly as hard.
Yeah. And it's a true testament, like, everything that you just shared about your darkest times, like, I really want to say thank you so much for being so open about that, and especially the fact that you said that you've never really talked about that, and look at what you're doing. And not, you know, we were supposed to, I mean, not supposed to, but, like, the main focus was just, you know, preparing people for high school and then college, but, like, this is also life.
Yeah, like a life story type thing.
Yeah, life preparation, and we're all human. We all have our Vietnam, and the most beautiful thing about the trauma is the resilience piece to it, and, like, how far you've come. And, you know, me being with him today, I haven't seen him since he was in high school right after that race, but, like, I had no idea he went through any of this. And as heartbreaking as it is to hear someone that you have love and care for go through that, you know, I was, like, getting emotional as you were talking about your darkest times, but to see you here sitting a couple feet away from me, happy, healthy, and it's grateful.
Because there was a time where I was like, I can't even remember what it's like, genuinely. Like, I can't remember what it's like to feel happy. Like, genuinely, I cannot remember. Like what it's like to feel, like, good inside. And it was tough. But I will say it was one of the most humbling journeys I've went on. Like, it shows you how, like, fragile life can be. How important it is to take care of yourself, and just also how far being a good person will take you. Like, I wouldn't trade those life lessons for the world. Like, they have been so important to me, and just who I am nowadays. And just, I don't focus on any, like, petty BS anymore. Like, I'm not concerned if it's, just leave it away from me now. And that's not who I was, like, years ago. Like, I loved arguing. And now it's like, you tell me if you want to say 2 + 2 is 5, that's on you. You can have that.
Today,
like, yeah. It's like, whatever.
Yeah. No, that is beautiful. Everything that you've shared is so beautiful and very human, you know? Yeah. And I don't relate. I haven't been through anything like that. And so to hear that sheds light on, truly, again, to your point that you just said, just, you never know what people are going through, and to always be kind. And you said this, like, when I first messaged you on Instagram, like, when you were kind of telling me bullet points of advice, like, that was one of my favorite ones you said, was, it's not cool to treat people unwell or to treat people poorly. Like, that's the worst thing ever. And, like, life's going to take you so much further being a good human. Or do you remember what you said?
Yeah. Like, just how far you'll get just being a genuine person. There's not a person in the world that won't appreciate you for just being nice and genuine. It takes you so far, just having that good personality.
And you still definitely have that.
Thank you.
You really do. We were talking, like, when he came over, I was like, oh my gosh, I was kind of nervous. I haven't seen you. Were you nervous too? Tell me you were nervous.
I was a little nervous.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen him in so long. Like,
but it, like, as soon as you opened the door, and I was like, yeah, this is, like,
it was so good.
Yeah.
Like, you still have this, people do change since high school, but, you know, this, again, is a testament to show that you still are, to your core, an amazing human being. Like, truly, I don't think, I'm just making it very clear, like, you were a very special student athlete to our coaching staff, like, in high school. And I wasn't your teacher, but we thought the absolute world of you, and I'm sure they all still do. I know Tiernan for sure, you know, he immediately said the nicest thing about you. You know, like, you are an amazing human.
Yeah, just a testament to him. He has done so much for me. Like, he just, like, even though I haven't talked to him in so long, like, just the things he taught me to, like, the things he taught me to be, like, I had such a fear of failure, and he was one of the people that reinforced, you should love failing. Like, now you're gonna be stronger. Like, once you fail, you instantly know you're better from that. Like, you know what not to do next time. And I love him for that. And I hope, we all gotta, like, see each other.
I know. Tiernan?
If he's still watching.
We need to get this together. We need to get all together. We really should. That just gave me goosebumps. Gosh dang it. I need a jar.
Yeah, you need the goosebumps.
It's so bad. I can't help it. I love love. I love love stories. I love passion. I love just people being awesome. He's done the same for me too. That could be a whole nother episode just on Mark Tiernan, because he is just like
awesome.
The older brother to me. So great. He's done so many things. And even that's, that mindset of, like, teaching you to love failing, like.
Yeah, I think my favorite memory from high school ever was that sectional track meet where me and Jake Tompkins missed graduation to run at a chance to go to the state championships, and we both qualified with our best times ever. And I just see Tiernan going crazy. Like, he was so proud, and that made me so happy to see. And yeah, that was awesome.
And to know that people believe in you, like, just those moments. And another life advice, like, for kids in high school, going into college, and young adults in college, like, don't ever hold back saying something kind to someone, or, like, reminding them that you believe in them or are proud of them. And if you're a coach, like, to your athletes, tell them how proud you are. Remind them what they have in them.
Complimenting people is awesome. I love complimenting people. I love giving people recognition.
Yes.
It makes yourself feel good too.
Absolutely.
Like, to see someone happy that they're being recognized.
Absolutely.
So that's always a good thing.
It is. I think this whole thing was a good thing.
Yeah.
I feel so fulfilled.
Yeah, me too.
After hearing your story, I'm glad that you feel that way.
Yeah, I'm proud of myself.
I was just gonna say that you should be. I was just going to say you should be very proud of yourself. Like, I don't know what this feels like.
It feels good. I didn't know how in depth you wanted me coming into it. I didn't know how in depth you wanted me to go into like the really bad times, and I feel like I did a good job at.
You did amazing. You definitely did amazing in telling your story, and I felt it, and I know that a lot of people are going to be very impacted by it.
Cool.
And I'm very proud of you.
And any of the young guys or girls, if you have any questions, you can tell them. Feel free to reach out to me. I have no problem answering any questions or anything like that.
I love that. Yeah. Do it. He's incredible. So easy to talk to.
Yeah.
And I do want to say, too, I am very passionate about mental health in general for, both genders. But truly, Clayton Eckerd's episode with, like, the male stigma, like, really hit me because, again, I'm not a male. I don't know what that's like. I do want to say, very specifically how proud of you I am and the why behind that, because so many men struggle to open up and talk about the war that they go through. And I remember my therapist had said when I was talking to him about my husband growing through opening up and communicating more, my husband was emotional one time and he apologized to me for getting upset and like crying. And I told my therapist that, and I was crying to my therapist, like, I felt so bad that he was crying. And my therapist was a male, and still to this day, my favorite therapist I ever had. But he looked at me and he said, in those moments, whenever you see your husband cry, if he says that again, remind him that he's not weak. Because that's what he said, like, I'm being weak, I'm so sorry. He said, remind him that this is actually an act of bravery and strength. And it's for you to sit here and to talk about all the things that you've gone through is extremely strong and brave. And you need to hear that too, because that therapy lesson wasn't even really for me. It was for men out there. Like, that needs to be told more. Like, that is a really strong thing to do, is talk about things that you felt weak in. Yeah.
I completely agree.
Well, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being here.
No problem. Yeah, it was a great time.
I don't want it to be over. That was so good. Yeah. Cool. We can just be done.
All right.
Kim, unwrap myself and give you a fixed hug. I'm so proud of you. In today's Level Up segment, we distill the wisdom shared by our guest into actionable advice. Here are 5 key takeaways to help you navigate your own journey per Kim. Number 1, embrace change. Understand that change is part of life. Whether you're transitioning from 8th grade into high school or from high school into college, be open to new experiences and challenges. Number 2, seek support. Don't be afraid to reach out for help when you're feeling lost or overwhelmed. Talk to friends, family, or professionals. Remember, you are not alone in your journey. Number 3, cultivate resilience. Life may throw you curveballs, but it's your resilience that will help you bounce back from adversity. Develop the mental and emotional strength to persevere through tough times. Number 4, set realistic expectations. It's okay not to have it all figured out immediately. Take small steps, set achievable goals, and be patient with yourself. Number 5, practice self-care. Prioritize your emotional and mental well-being. Self-care is essential in maintaining a healthy and happy life, even when facing challenges. In addition to Cam's powerful advice, I also wanted to take a moment and share some additional words of wisdom from some current freshmen in high school that were former students or athletes of mine that I reached out to for the sake of this episode. It was a really cool experience, being able to have time to actually check in on my kiddos from just even a year ago or a few years ago. So the first one I want to highlight, she is so special. I hold her near and dear to my heart. I think she's a junior. She started her senior year. Oh my gosh. Shout out to Ryan Bunner. If I butchered that, I am so sorry. Life has gone by way too fast. I can't even keep track of how old you are now, but she is either going into, started her junior or senior year of high school at this point. And she was really unique. She actually started her high school experience during the COVID year. So a lot of her experiences are very unique to just that that situation and that life experience. But at the end of her reflection, she gave 4 key pieces of advice. Number 1, don't take freshman year lightly and do as well as you can so that you aren't playing catch up later, which is exactly what Cam said with the whole scheduling thing. Take it seriously. Don't goof off. Like, you can still have fun in high school, but make sure you're also putting your grades first. Number 2, get involved with your school, like clubs, activities, and sports, which again, like capitalizes on what Cam said in so many areas of his episode today. Number 3, there are so many resources that you can use to help if you need it. So if you ever are, she said, don't ever be afraid or too afraid in general just to ask for help. Again, something really powerful that Cam touched on. And Cam has been out of high school for 7 years, 8 years at this point. So, I mean, the fact that a current high schooler is still saying these things speaks volumes to how powerful what Cam shared with us today actually is. And then number 4, she says to make connections with teachers. And we didn't talk about that much with Cam's episode today, but when I read that one particularly from Miss Ryan, that really resonated with me because I just reflect on all of the connections that I've made with my students and my athletes and how meaningful those relationships were for me, even as the professional and as the adult. And if it was meaningful for me as the teacher, I can only imagine how meaningful and impressionable that was for the kids at that time. So Ryan, love you, girl. Thank you so much for your advice. We're also going to move on to another kiddo that I had in school, and she was one of my favorite human beings ever, still is to this day. Her name is Bergen, and she is a freshman in high school this year. And the biggest thing that she wanted to get out is that it is okay to ask for help and also normal to be scared going into this transitional period of your life. We all learn, and you just need to be who you are. Don't change for others. That is also exactly what Cam said at some point in his episode today. So once again, maximizing and capitalizing on how powerful everything he said today, a current freshman in high school also can attest to that importance. And finally, I did want to give a shout out to this last person that is very special to me. And he definitely was very special to me when I had him as a student. He just started college this year. He was an incredible student when I had him in 8th grade. I think I had him for 7th grade too, but shout out to Tyler. I asked his mom on Facebook to reach out to him and ask him how college is going and what advice would he have for anybody that is transitioning into college next year. And I have 2 really powerful things from him that I want to share. First thing is, he said the biggest part of mentally and emotionally preparing for the transition between high school and college is having to be okay with the fact that everything is about to change. You have to realize that your life is not going to be the same as it has been for all these years prior. Moving out on your own, leaving your hometown, leaving your friends and people you love, and all of that uncertainty. I had to come to the realization with myself that this was my new life, and that I had to learn to adjust and do the best that I can with the situation that I was going into. Once you understand that within yourself, the rest just falls into place and you adjust and adapt what seems like overnight, and all of the worries and sadness just seem to go away. And the last thing he said was advice. He said 3 to 5 words of advice: soak up every moment. Meaning, make sure you don't take a single minute for granted before you make this transition. That makes this so much easier knowing that he lived the fullest before he switched chapters of his life. Wow, and wow. Like, it truly amazes me. It never ceases to amaze me that these kids, these children, these adolescent teenagers, and now young adults, like going into the real world, it never ceases to amaze me the insight that they have on the real world. And if us adults would just take a minute to sit down and ask them these simple questions about what they're going through and what their experiences are, we would just be absolutely astonished with the responses that we get. So major shout out to Tyler, Bergen, and Ryan for giving me feedback, and the other 3 girls that I mentioned specifically in my episode today. Your guys' feedback and advice is going to really speak volumes and help people. I just know it. So love and appreciate you guys more than you know. And a special shout out to Cam Wiese. That was an extremely powerful episode. I'm still just like on a high from it emotionally, from all the ups and downs and the beauty and just the compassion that went into that episode and the bravery. I am so proud of you. I love you. And I hope that we can all reconnect soon. It was great having you guys. So I did want to say one more thing. So sorry. Cam did specifically say in the episode that if you ever wanted to reach out to him and ask questions and kind of explore more of what he shared, you absolutely could. And he said that you could do that on Instagram. So if you check out on my little icon on the show right now, it shows you my level up application, and I'm going to paste his Instagram name on this icon as well, so you can contact him directly if needed. Thank you guys so much for listening. This was an extra long episode, but it was extra powerful. See you next time.